therefore ne almost share Zoom so no me say me mamu nyina akwa aba e de ba memory day program here I friend land issues in Ghana Vital Ghana Radio ama ho kwan a yetimi de brem Saturday bia no na me ka say me week no nyame adom na eye. I don't know about your challenges, but however it is no ye nyina ye won kwan de na it say nyame ekuramu nti bibia be den ebe ye na me mo presenter Joyce Atajemfi na me see program me but I training say ye be mo legal information me pa cho any legal advice the name say na ya na doctor e kan ti so mo be hu mi ansa na ya ma legal advice but we the legal information I am na ebuebie nyema bu so e wo Nsase ene ho hyehyei e na nyema sebi obi esese tiase kakra se na be ya pese wo ye bibia on Nsase nsem ho oto asase wo ko register wo pese o si dan yo humuni ntiase bi enka wo hiahia kakra wo asase ho why dey wahu ye na nkomode ye kesi so se ebe se obehu lawyer if you say ya na ya mransem nti hu lawyer eboa bebre na ka be ebe sunsun sem ne e de obekọ akogina ba bi enye se wugina no e hu lawyer eboa but information ya ye nya eboa beboa bebre na ayede aboa wo na se wokọ akoye bibi won sase nsem ho a watimi aya emfa nsem a yete bebre no enye de embrewo. So for the past 2 weeks we've been blessed with having a wonderful resource person in the person of Dr. Westworth Odamilabi, former executive secretary of the Whole Lands Commission, presently no Oye Jumawo Addis Ababa FAO. As you can see, sir, one more wait here for the past 2 weeks now. We've had a whole wealth of resource or information. Sabi obi or shed that things as who has been in the trenches, has helped with land issues, prophet ideas, and all those things. So na de a studio ya wabwa in Bibri. Enti wa pensem ni bia so e de amaye nem se kakra ye keka last week ni bi ne say ya na say abayan kasa pono esan say wentimi anye necessary oye won Nsase ho anase land commission as an institution intino eduma akesese etimi years ago ni entimi ame anye den anye manema bebre eto de etoto osin mocheche nema ni biasia meyenye no mwe ene boy kweti so sebi ya da bia memfa ne se emra no enye adwuma nti na obi akoto asase a se oban dia ne piepie wetiko wakoto se na ebo nkomode kosie no eno a kire sebi nsunsan so ne ba wo na ede ubekeri ya se na mpenifu bi kanon enti na se we dey wona sese we den obo ho ban na wantini wankoto sansem ni mu enti nensem se be try nkomodie ni so enem se wa kra lo se obede obeboa yembium na ya tua so nem se ye be kaya bebi edu ye ni se so obi no bi se question mo ba na wo ye hihye mu so se be den ye be pensem mu se ya na obi ye search a obi ye se search ni bi wo lands public energy news crowds public invested lands management division ubebodi ni be crown na I am mouthful you say bi so land registration division records ni bi so survey department open acquisition ni so called land valuation division na de town planning inti na say unkofa akonwanya information opinion ntem se nkomodie na ye be free eho enti we dey ye nka se nu echi ye be ka se onfi ase na enti ase a ana pensem mu opese ode mai no ode amai na boaye menya enti ase ehia ewo Nsase sem relating to these issues. So doctor, I want to welcome you warmly again to this Vital Ghana radio program. And again, we just want to thank you for making time for us for the past 2 weeks and making time for us today too. And we know we are going to have a good time because we are going to get the much needed information from a very wonderful person, which you are as a resource person on this issue. So doctor, you are welcome.
Thank you, Mrs. Satajemfi.
Okay, so we can set the ball rolling.
From regards to all our listeners, Etie Fumichia Munina, Jichia Figana Bremunina. Jidi say you go so kika Nsase ho nsem. Ebinom cry on adwen say asase de yen to bi Uganda if you say yen sika share. Ebinom atodan, ebinom de sika by say one fansase, one fancy dama wo buy na abeye nsem bebre. Ni nyina ne say na ye ni information. It is say to yembo na ye information ni ho kwan a ye be fa so a yede Nsase sem ebetoto a em se beboa ye nyina. Nti mo bia mbo hu, mo bia nsuru. Gidi se beboa ye nyina. E mo bia kwa ba.
That's so my what's our Arishimuno. Into Dr. MC Befi and Comodina say we are going to start our discussions and then let's pose the question again. Doctor, why are there so many, at least 5-6 different places that you have to go to conduct searches before you can buy one piece of land? Why are the records so scattered among 5-6 land agencies?
Thank you, Mrs. Satajemfi. Near the kind of say, land is a very complex issue. Last 2 weeks, last week, I make say, as I say, enter say, shetta, yokosto, money, yokoto. Na yebani yen label, no few money, shene fatay, and then one. Asase entisa asase was so many characteristics. You were assessing the physical land, no, honum, who information, ho. You were assessing no rights and interests, ho, and also no information, friend attribute, no, and also ho. You were assessing no nebo hanan values, and some taxes and nema, and also honum. Eyinom nyinaa hia information nti sane me nyinaa yegye hu information ewo different agencies ye hyase no na ye wo different land agencies. The first land agency a buy a survey department and the wabrofo no buy a wo hyase say what na Ghana na what survey department at a point now governor na kasa cry surveyor nti one a what to Nsase no share na di nyinaa. It was started to we'll gather the surveying information, the maps, the mapping of our lands. No, into a information in a survey department. Up till now, actually, you shall see it to lands department. In before then, no, a buy started to say original Nsase. Na a buy a Jumeku or Nsase and a property, and the men now a PWD. Inti aban ho Nsase sem ni nyina ekupu PWD na fe ye shase
thank you.
ye shase say ye registration also na registration where we courts still there are so many other countries where registration is still a function of the court system, including even in Germany. Inti one na what registration and some no into your two lands department I can't say yen department be a obehwe Nsase ho nsem ni nyina no the records were already scattered and what did be by into what starts to boa records nano at the lands department itself. There were so many different records that were compiled apart from the records on the government land that were brought from the PWD. Then they started compiling the records of the registry that came from the courts. And then we then also have to now compile records on valuation values because we have to assess properties for stamp duty. We have to assess properties for capital gains tax. We need the information on all these. In tonight, what different departments of the lands department and not what compiles our information here. Some of them were not meant to be used for any advice or any decision by the public. For example, the valuation records started just as a repository for compiling values. The lands department, one valuation, they will have the comparables to do the evaluation. Actually, it became a very major source of information on ownership because that were where some of the records were kept. But that was not the original intention. Inti Ubeye search, then later on we came in with the land title registry, and also we set up the title registration system for Accra and Kumasi, Greater Accra region and Kumasi. Once we started to we'll compile one records. Inti you have all these institutions with different aspects of land information. It is open information per search via the commission's aim is to provide you with all the information that will help you to make a decision. And because of that, you have to source for the records from some from survey, some from valuation, some from the then Lands Commission, which is now the Public and Vested Lands Management Division of the Lands Commission. Indeed, that is why our land records are so fragmented. Even those that were not originally intended to be used to provide information to the public have now become a very major asset to the commission, upon which they extract information and provide to the public. And because it was evaluation records, they never took steps to actually align it with ownership. So any document at all that was presented for stamp duty purposes, they extracted the information and the values. And so now when you are doing a search, they give you all that information. And if you don't take care, you think that they are all part of the ownership information. And then that is why one of the sources of the confusion that we have. Not all the information that we provide in the searches are ownership information. And that is why the commission always issues that disclaimer that they will not be held liable if you base any decision on the information they have provided and then you run into any loss, which is very sad actually, because there is only one institution in the country that is the custodian of all our land records. And if they cannot vouch for the information that they give out to the public, then where do we stand? But unfortunately, that is where we are. That is where the confusion is coming from. But I think going forward now, with the new Land Act and with the institutional reform now, and the efforts that are being put together to try and streamline the records, we did say with time, we'll be able to sort out all these records. Eventually, if the title registration takes deep root and we are able to do first registration for almost all the lands and they become the source of land information in the country, I'm sure we would have then resolved a lot of the disputes, because as part of the first registration, they will do all the adjudication and check whether the application that has been made is credible. And once they register the land as per the law, it becomes an indefeasible title. And therefore, with time, I'm sure as we register more and more lands and as we declare more and more areas as title registration district, we will be able to resolve some of these disputes. But that's a long way off anyway. UK started title registration in 1925, and almost 100 years down the line, not all lands in the UK are still on the register. So let's give ourselves the time. But the most important piece of information is that before you buy any piece of land, make sure you have all the requisite information. We hear so and sana why been so better and now want to don't rush into buying land.
Doctor, let me say, you mentioned something. Let me say, because you discuss it, and it can take us in academia and but was not all the records information ownership relate to ownership.
Yeah.
So then why are those information revealed or given to the public if it does not relate to ownership? Why is it given to the public? And as we all may have known, having worked in the land sector, it seems even officers of the commission may not necessarily know this. So anything that is revealed and forwarded, it is deemed as ownership records, and it muddies the already, colored waters. Why is it? Why is that situation persistent all these years when you, as a boss at a point in time, knew that not all the records relate to ownership? But over to me, I say now. Accra na.
Me say at a point, no, now you compile information on valuation. Now, in extracting the valuation information, no, we not only compiled the value of the land as per the document, but we also compiled the transaction upon which that value is based. Inti Mami Fami say, those days there were a lot of freeholds. Inti Matomasa say amount. So I am the vendor, you are the purchaser. And what they are called for stamp duty. Inti what assess stamp duty, no? And I was see so much as you compile sa record, no? Our last commission, you had to plan, so we even had plan records for it. So you have the purchaser, you have the vendor, the vendor, the purchaser, you have the value, you have the site plan, you have the location, because value is here, information, you know, and then you have the size of the land, and then the plan of the land. The valuers need all that information to do the evaluation. Into all that piece of information will tell you in that particular record and that particular register, there is no authenticity as to whether the owner who has been recorded is the actual owner or not. It's just that this is the transaction that came before us and we recorded it and we stamped it as such. Until later on, when we decided to give that information also out to the public, you know, what we should have done, which we didn't do, was to then begin to identify which ones related to ownership and which ones did not. But we just said, well, that's the information. So far as this is the plan, and this information relates to this piece of land as per the plan, let's give out that information. So that's why sometimes you read some of the search reports and you can't make a head or tail out of it. There is a declaration, then there is a conveyance, then there is a lease, then there's another conveyance, then there's all of them crisscrossing each other. You can't make a head and tail out of it. And you don't see any sequence. So there are 2, 3, 4 conveyances emanating from different people to different purchases, all of them pertaining to the same piece of land. That is the source of that confusion, because not all of them were ownership information, but we never took steps to actually identify which ones should be provided to the public and which ones should not be provided to the public. That is the biggest source of confusion. The valuation records that we have turned, at a point, we turned them to be the Greater Accra Records Office. And so we added Greater Accra land transactions onto that. And when we started using it as the Greater Accra Records Office, we added to the confusion, unfortunately.
Wow, doctor. Wait there. I think you say Ghana phone na yet me some questions again. You maybe say because then it me share check because say it was just a bit of just have noted one way or the other say ABA. When we had the evaluation records, I mean just something to just show say when the evaluation records. In say be who pen so where the necessarily ownership records. Bibi kakra o mo sanka ebeboa emi se nka echi se bi oye panyin de otimi eto de fanfra memu ebia ebe because na ewe ni se na ebeboa na nka nkofo ye omo searches na obehu so we de we na se ehia me de betu anamo anase me pensem we no mo de ebi omo gigi e de ye se na wo kan valuation no mo pe data enti bibisa enti we de ye bejo ato a na se ebe ye na obe ma mpanyifo ati na nka ebe no be no betina yo
these ideas we started at a point to try and sort it out. We had the records to two under the lab. We had the records to two Greater Accra records near American valuation records no. It to two near Yama concurrence because then also a different place. Maybe central records are now concurrence, 2 land grants na Yama concurrence no. Their records were different. Into year to two na if you sign the land title records no so to see how the land title maybe Yama certificate and a lands commission central records record no in evaluation records no how they conform so that we will see which ones to begin to clean up the records, no? Which ones we need to clean up and say these ones, let's put them in the archives. They are just for valuation purposes. These are the ones that you get to do. But mantra hanche yesha asana neja mishiho nti abrantina na men ne yeno so no so fiho. So I think that was the end of it. But it was a very useful exercise that we started.
You and the doctor say, you bet me about boom, but no more can you be where you be tears in terms and anchor say every anchor triaso. The doctor, I think, he said, come on, na yanti mo papa, me maybe saying, for ebenya and tiaseka cran a bit about the deed registration because earlier program been mema and tiaseka say, na issues about land no, more confusing and say, this registration just registered documents. And well, as I said, back nipa 2, 3, let me register. Na there was no capacity. Na a coin be anywhere bit maybe say as I see a document ya odia be enwa as na ni mensa ediama efuata na enwa ne say the documents ne bana ye dey ye dey share register ni mu enti na no so be another source because na it was not on spatial data na ya plotted. And that system, as you were saying, was there for a very long time. And sana, Mr. Plotting started, and I had information a good sheet so we search I'll be home. And is that really one of the reasons so I contributed to the many issues we have in land?
Mr. Tajanvi, now can partly true, but make sure more. Said I mean, can you share registration of land as no, na courts no, na eye. Inti the first land registration act no, ordinance no, the criteria for accepting documents to register land the document should have sufficient description of the land. If you can describe the land that it's a Jaco's cocoa farm bounded on the south by Kofi Amwene's farm, bounded on the east by so and so farm. Now to me, my sad description now it is sufficient for registration purposes. They will register without records to any plan. If the plan in any document no crowd to me register money. So when we started land registration, I think in 1896, that is when that's how it was done, and this was done by the courts. So there was no plan registers until 1949 when we started the plan register. So we have that gap between 1896 and 1949, and now you registered documents without reference to any plan. Sometimes time Lands Commission no. Oh yeah, as I see no be the documents be aba. Also here your registered document and it is registered in the land registry of the courts. Description, there's no plan to it. If you have plans, also a sketch, just a sketch. No, they are shame, but the land they will tell that we know our land and it's registered. You have to take that into account. That's one of also the sources of the confusion, lack of dependability on our records. The other aspect, which was a very sad thing that happened, was in the Land Registration Act, Land Registry Act of 1962, the registries were given powers to reject documents that they felt did not meet the criteria for registration. Inti na documents na bana and ye papa, they will reject it and tell you that go and rectify the error and bring. Some of the aggrieved parties were not too happy. They went to court and the court took those powers away from the registrar and said that the registrar does not have any power to reject any document that was submitted for registration. If they want to do that, they should get to the courts. And I own him say people will not go to court to go and say, I want to make an order for this document to be rejected for registration. So what the registrars did then was to accept any documents at all that came, so far as they could read the description and there was sufficient plan, They will just accept it and get it plotted in the records. That was also there because the powers, I think it was Section 24 of the Land Registry Act.
Yeah, Land Registry Act.
Yeah, was taken away by the courts from the registrars at the time. And also a part of the source of the confusion because the registrars didn't have any power to reject any document that was submitted for registration. All manner of documents got into the system. Then when we started accepting statutory declarations for registering large tracts of land owned by the chiefs, the families, because they didn't have any mechanism for telling the whole world and proving that they were the owners of any particular piece of land. What they did was to then make an affidavit, a statutory declaration, and say that we are the owners of this land. We've been on this land for several years without any disturbance from any quarters. So we are saying that we are the owners. And then they attach the plan to the declaration, send it to the commission. Since the registrars did not have any power to reject any document, they registered all of them. That's why, again, you have a lot of statutory declarations, some crisscrossing, some conflicting with others, just because that was how people felt that they have to make their ownership of land known. So that, again, became another source of confusion in the creation of the land records. And all these things needed to be resolved until, is it 1983 or thereabout, when the Lands Commission then decided that, no, statutory declarations are self-serving. It is not contested. Nobody knows that any person has done a declaration. So instead of just accepting them quietly into the records of the commission, let us begin to publicize it. At least let's announce it in the newspapers that such and such a person wants to make a declaration over this piece of land. If you think that you have an interest in the land, you can raise an objection. And then that's how we started publicizing the declarations, just to make sure that we can improve upon the credibility a little bit of the records of the commission. But by then, a lot of harm had already been caused. Many of the declarations were done in the 1970s, and that's the source of the confusion. How we built our land records, we left a lot of gaps. We were not very meticulous. I think at that time, we were not too mindful of the value that people will place on the records and the information that will be churned out. And we thought we were just compiling them for compiling's sake. Unfortunately, now we have to live with the effect of all those bad decisions, sadly.
Well, Doctor, we will have to thank you for this, I would say, great information. But albeit, Nebeka say, na abetwema then echo or the things of the past which are now what's saddled us, has saddled us now. Yeah. So we are now going to look more the way forward.
Yeah.
And that means you have to go through all these various land agencies, almost one at a time. And the way if we may ask for listeners and for those viewing, is it the same plan that you have to take to all the various land agencies?
With the
Oh, it's okay. Please see if we can help us with that.
I thought I cut through. Yeah. With the current CSAU, Client Services Access Unit,
yeah.
They've unified all the records. So you make one request to the Client Services Access Unit with the site plan, and then they will take it. The commission, the CSAU will take it to the various divisions. So they will take it to the PVLMD to get their information, take it to survey and mapping, get the information, take it to the land registration division, get the information, and they will compile all of them together and give them to you. Until you get, you present only one request, and then they will go around and get all the information for you. You don't need to go from office to office. That is the way forward. But as I said, the records themselves are not clean up, so it takes a lot of time to compile all these records. And given what the background I've given, you will know that there will be more confusion if you add information from survey to information from public and vested land management Division to information at land registration division. Then you have all these sets of records and pieces of information that you will have to then try and decipher what they really mean. Which one can you stand on and which one can you throw away? And this is where you need the services of people, professionals in the sector to help you, especially the lawyers, to be able to say, oh, this is just a statutory declaration. We can, if ignore this particular one, we can look at this judgment. You can look at that. This judgment is from the Supreme Court, so let's look at it carefully. So then they can help you to decipher what the records are. I think one of the things I didn't add in the confusion we have created in our land records are the judgments, the effect of the judgments, where again different judgments are given over the same piece of land by sometimes cognate courts, just because the parties to different parts of the land were different. So many Mrs. Atademfi yekoko asase bi so yefre asase no Lashibi yefi no Kofi Menu ene Atakoi enso kokon the same asase no so ma one friend Lashibi o friend Lashiye enso obehwe plan no na the same
land.
Oh, into different judgments. But people say Lashiye, but people say Lashibi. But what the plans in our balance commission, you know? Now people say the same plans but different judgments, and then also confusion. No? But with all this, if you take your time, then don't rush to buy land. If you take your time to go through all this maze, you'll be able to decipher which ones to stand on and which ones to ignore, and then make a sound decision that will help you to avoid litigation or throwing your money away.
Doctor, some of our brothers feed ye. Mr. Say, I see a tonsas and I really near yan to crowd. If so, overflow when we are bury, no judgments also cannot cross with another story for another day. If said, they be a froba, send okay. Obiet nipa mienu bi atimi kɔ asase bi so ɛkɔ court kɔ kasa asase no omodia eno dey say na make am say nkomo a ɛbɛbɔ no another day and I say ɛwɔ baabi a ɛbɛyɛ den yɛbɛdi ho saa nkomo no ete na nokro ni asotwe and I say asudie ɛwɔ obia so a say ho say saa ne nyina ɛde ɛwɔ wɔ hɔ na meka say judgments no kra de say no na ma yɛ hintidua kɛse bebree wɔ nsase so ɛwɔ nkran ha if say obi kra judgment na odi betro obi anim say judgment dey say be court asem ntie dey obi ogoni beka say the coercive powers of the state are behind it would police ni bi obetimi no rate of possession di ekire otimi di ekire ma say be na titi bi na ebi aba so be dey bi nkrofo edan ense no dey na ehonsem kan dey aye bebre kra ye did say to say yebedu baabi a sansem sem nyina be dey be ya bakosem na ade na aye ba enye sa ade obehwe sem obehwe judgments be wie we statutory declarations be wie obeko survey and mapping division local public investor lands management division obe search or land registry whether a plan search and a certificate search why we are any sabe omo aye etete away US UK live na he 2 weeks 3 weeks obey then wait me hwe we no na mi ansa na we nti we de yem say ye kasa wa fidie su me gidi say ewo mu a mpanyifo ni bi beti na ahwese na ebebo modin a den atoto ye ni mani ye na kwa de ye nim no atimi aye den tote na em say kwa no atowacho ewo mu no do so pa ni na mu doctor ebeba em say na asem ne tie ne na de wabobo so e de a chain and the BS na ka mremu no caveat emptor wa woto no hweye pa na Ghana asem so de na chede ese so hweye pa you don't say be so na hu question bi a ye nua ba bi ebisa ntem say wo so pese obisa asem bi ana say bibi chire wadwen ana asem bi wo ho obepese obeka kire ya ebebo ankomodie ni mu a you can just unmute your mic and then ask the question and also bet me post at their brain. And say quickly, Doctor, Mami Canada question in if you why. Or say how big is the plot of land in Accra? They say the increase as you try mem say nche be a bit many 0.08 cross as so kwa cross central kwa benye bisa. Them say mwamu kakra me metimi dia man say first part ne dey. Em say in the early 80s, 90s, yeah. Now mostly you can say one plot and now you can say 100 by 100.
100,
And
yeah.
doctor surveyor in terms of boy view. 100 by 100, but it was say a sotiba, and they say an average like as a one plotter is mostly 70 by 100,
100.
0.16 and 0.18. Aha, it's the first 100 by 100 na near him no. Say yen saying you trying to say to become one plotter. As so body and business one plot a moody away him. 100 by 100 and I say 70 by 100. Ain't me patcho ye need one size fits all. So because of ton plot of land in Accra, first and you can 100 by 100. But they say
Okay.
the in Pino a be 70 by 100. And a doctor patcho you have Odbeka one as a
Kakra
severe.
pese me me de ka ho ne say yeni mre bia minimum plot sizes. Uko aman bebree so a the plot size should not be below a certain minimum standard. But Ghana de yeni bi inti say na kind of say currently average plot size na 100 by 70. But sometimes na ejina layout no say na wo ye no so. Ebi wo kra betimi nya bi 50 by 40 na nipa no se mepe ne saa se no anaka but esan say ye minimum plot size bia no it can be of any size at all but the average one we have on a standard layout 100 by 70 that's it.
Okay. Me pa choba mi Canada
You
biom ni me question baako ne sɛ wotɔ asase no na ebia woyɛ papers ne bibia go through na wobetua sika no a, is it okay to pay installment or just pay outright?
Let me just take that question. No, dear, and she say, Rebecca said, one assassin run in a bed, ebe shishe na say assassin run it here, say, Samawa. Normally, no remuneration na kaya ebe in the sales and purchase agreements. And no sales and purchase agreements, no, and I've been saying agreement for lease. Sales and purchase agreement, and no tre, ebe state say, Bia, okay, me pass sɛ na doctor akyerɛ yɛ mu no mɛsearch ne nyinaa bɛwie na bia memmra so sɛ mekɔ ma megye di sɛ mehu sɛ bi a asɛm bi ani ho nti mɛtua bi a 50% na yɛwie search no anaasɛ yɛwie krataa no ho sɛm bi ɛkɔbɔ no bɛba me din mu a na bia metua 50% na aka no nti na yɛ sɛ the basis of the installment no yɛabɛtwerɛ wɔ krataa a wo ne onipa ko a ɔretɔn asase no ne wankasa ayɛ ɛtintim a wobɛnya witnesses nti na ayɛ binding agreement a sɛbi asɛm ba kɔ a wobɛtumi ayɛ den ɛde bɛyɛ den ɛbɛkɔ court nti ɛyɛ anan no deɛ mɛka sɛ private arrangement but me sɛ yɛn nyinaa yɛsua deɛ no mede na mɛka ne sɛ nka ɛbɛyɛ a nka woyɛ den wotumi tua wo sika wie yɛ a na ɛno no na wo ni arrears bi a ɔkyena bi ɛbɛtumi aka sɛ o sika na devalue sɛna ɛyɛ yɛ sika na ɛtumi yɛ ntim also on way 2 years ago no meka sɛ tua 30,000 Ghana cedis but sɛ wotumi sɛ Ghana sika na ɛsɛ ntumi gya 30 Ghana tumi gye 30,000 a ebi ɛnyɛ dɛn na me ho akɔdi mu nti me mpene so saa sɛ na asase bɛyɛ de 50,000 wohwɛ layman's agreement a ebi ɛtɔ asom because ampa na nanka 30,000 Ghana cedis ni beto cement ebetimi ato 2 years ago. Ebetimi to the same amount of cement maybe 2 years later. Nti na I said na ayetwema mentwi ebi wona asan akọ court asem. Eye no so pempi no ma nkofo mo ton sas no mo gida so esan ton sas no. If you say ebi wo ha wo ka say wo kwa aba 6 months ebi wo ha say no wo ye den wentimi amba 1 year time maybe amba nti no beka che no obi fofo ni say onipa ko no otoye so ontue nwie that bia so ni ho a kyerɛ saa sɛ wokɔ akɔ search bi ebe kyerɛ sɛ wampa wotɔ no wanwie nti wobɛhwɛ no wato ama obi nti wobɛ so fa sika no bra yɛde bɛto onipa ko a yɛtɔn man no ba ne yɛsɛ yɛden yɛde sika na yɛden asan ama no wobɛhwɛ no na ntawantawa aba nti that provision is there wobɛtumi pay by installment na meka no krataa da ɛho de a ɛno korapo yɛden ɛbɛ support bebree but ɛbɛyɛ anka wotumi tua ne wie ya na ayɛ dɛn na ɛmu asɛm na no na asɛbe obiara ɛho beebi ogyina sɛ asase de fɛ de ayɛ me deɛ korakora doctor patro bibi wɔ ɔbɛbɛtumi de aka wɔ na maka ne ho anaa.
Nsase.
Ne amesi so dua ne sɛ sale and purchase agreement no ɛho hia paa nkanka wɔn a wotua no kakra no always can say obetua asase no nyinaa outright but also me pese me say me documents go through answer just to reduce the losses in case it doesn't go through. Do pesa we na sa me did say e nhwehwe a wo ne asase wura na beye but make sure say be sale and purchase agreement now the attach ad nachi otherwise niam Mrs. Atajenfia can sa 2 years later obeka say oh what the ya ton man or buy a man baby fufuro or buy baby or bekwa no won pe ntia say na well ye bepo sika ma sika no so eni ho no kware wo mu ne say yen ahemfo nananom no wonya ton asase no na otua ka o sorry fee won ani ma na wo kwae no o sa ba kra so ba ju sika eni ho a wo de be ma if so sorry I know a chiskan nti ma ho kwan ma won kan kire wo say ye bepa baby fufura ma ana ye de sika be ma because sika ni wonya ma nti ukohu asase no na wo pa nyawani na ye na esa wo ye nyina na je won krata na koye registration na hu asase no ye wo de betumi a share development as kra na wa shase just to secure your land but unfortunately and sadly no yemfa nkrata nkoa yenyina nkrata nkoa so Ghana say you can get your title all right even people have land title certificate so because asase no no obi foforo esi ana ye bibi asase no so nti wo ye na wo ye ni it's not the best but unfortunately that's the system that operates here nti wo ye na wo ye ni nyina preko to a no wato no preko to ya no take possession ubetumi a no aye bibi anything at all to signify say asase obi de nsaka me njans into hoke ka akwa say me kwa ba 5 years now mbai we ba na asase ni ho
I'm said doctor ebe dase and the same can na yesua de na yesua na sana meka no the more information you have on any subject the more control you have over the situation. Nti my nimbre na say yetia you who say yes suggestion the program bi and say addition bi o baby a yen kan che nu eno yen kan che ye namfo na ye do mo nsum na betie bi na aye de yen na etimi aye de enya the necessary information e betimi de aboye ho ban. Well, so going forward doctor am say aye discussions ni baby enche bi am say ye be mu anu na me say unkita ho na ye kita for the past 3 weeks graciously making time for us no the baby into the way forward no let me say pain no send ye nim no nkrofo wo amano ne and me kroma me wo Delaware Middletown for an idea any more UK wherever they may be outside Ghana no omuni haninti no and as we are seeing it is not easy just to conduct a 1-day search now wait me aka say menya me search into within 1 week 2 weeks I can close a transaction. It's necessary that we just wechi edema obi. NTM me say ya bobo obi so the da ena de. But bet me a doctor. What are some of the things that we can keep doing as people who don't have much time when we come down to our homeland Ghana? What are some of the things we can keep doing? What are some of the documents we can give to our friends and our relations that would empower them? I think what comes readily to mind is the power of attorney. And things like that, authority notes and things like that. And say confusion. Say the rest of our discussion should be the way forward. What should a person be looking at? What should a person empower himself with? What are the things that government is saying should be done about land issues, or what are the circulars, statements on land, new procedures? And say no, you bet me a bobo so crime. Say be for the way forward. No, and the doctor wait there. Me say, messing out to my obi.
You way forward na ya kika as we went along in the discussions but me can say me bon to fan na me can say rise and interest in land na eya na etna ho che asase obi ka say wato asase a enye physical land no se ne mami kan na bi say no ye twa 100/70 amount physically you know that is what you have bought but in actual fact is just an expression of the extent of the rights that you have acquired over that piece of land. The most important thing are the rights and interests that are not seen that you have in the land. Say a 50-year lease, say a freehold, say a asase obi ewo access to path via a dam, obi access to light, obi access to other easements. Eyinom nyinaa eka nea your friend assassin what to know the rights and interests are the things that you are buying, and these things are not normally visible to the naked eye. You have to see them in the documents to understand them. That is why you must take your time to understand exactly what you are buying, and that is why there can be so many problems with the land, because you are talking about the rights and interests that are not visible and sometimes that are not very well defined. Indeed, take your time to do all that you want to do. So, don't rush to make the decision and pay. I think that's the biggest mistake many of the people in the diaspora make. So, by onimrinti, no pass asinity, or the same medicama as I see no me kwaba, but come na dan story for fru. So, obey ne sa pe obi na onyina mumau na manankrata for 2 minutes and give the person a power of attorney. Naturally, Juma opese odima so be negotiations ewo asase no hama na works and sign krata no ewo dimo ama na wa odi akwanim no akọ register ama obe bibia ama ye power of attorney na for sa 2 minutes nyina man na nipa ko no ontumi nyina ntem na ondima mpempi no ese wunya lawyer over prepare power for 20 be over troni na loopholes bia ambem na ochene bi obi antumi exploit sa loophole no, so that in your haste you don't lose your money, but you leave credible representative now with me at the Jumana amount, because fraud is rampant in our land sector. So be careful when you are dealing with it. Again, let us try and demystify our land transactions. In Pempi, you don't want your wife or your spouse or even your children to know what you are doing. You don't want even your lawyer to know what you are doing. At the time we get to our lawyer is when we have problems. No, try and demystify your land transactions. So right from the beginning, as soon as you conceive the idea, minyasase amepe, uwo lawyer, uno lawyer ni hunkomo, uni lawyer, shasepe lawyer, now ni hunkomo. So that right from the beginning, no edi hunkomo na wa guide throughout the processes. Don't rush at all. And ukoto asase na wa kachiro say nipa be 6 and 7 abba adan no ho ana asase no ho na essence one first person na oba inti na yepese yede ma just ignore some of those subtle threats. If they really want to sell the land to you, they will be patient with you, because the 7 or the 6 other people who they claim to be interested in the land will also face the same problem. So don't rush and don't let them don't be swayed by that argument. Say, oh, nipa be 6 and nipa be 7. Ejinechi. Nansi na obi beto asasi bi edan na obi hu me na msi o. Ye ne say. Oh, ha okache ofrem si o. Afiewura na say nipa be 3 ejina ho no ma won sika aye ready. They say one the first person to buy into your the man, but so you're ready, obeton ama the other 3 no. Them catch and say, on catch say, on go ahead, na on tongue, na you say no quarry and no quarry, na oyin Nsem fi home. Or 1 month time, nipa 3 as a line, equal wesika ready, obabeto no. 1 month time, or friend Bisan say, now there as a small becan, once I'm done over can once no, 1 month forward the view and there is nobody, but they claim that there are so many people who have lined up and tried to acquire the land. So please don't let them rush you into making that decision. Fortunately, we are trying to improve the information in the government offices as much as possible, but we haven't reached there yet. So be patient with them also, and take your time to go through all the processes. Because our processes are fragmented and stepwise, as you go along. Say they've tried to put all of them together and you make one payment at the client as services access unit. and then they take your documents through for you. Be patient and allow them to do it, but follow up. Don't just fold your arms and sleep. Follow up. So the documents, number one, as much as possible, obtain as much information as you can before you commit yourself to buy in the piece of land. And paper, so say what the documents it's written in a legal language, but try and read to understand. At least, Odo Kano and Jazokra, moving Kano City Munchro. Yamupio Honoma Yatuton Sasia, we don't even know the conditions under which we were given the land. Yes, I do now about 90% leases, and the leases enjoin us to pay rent at the end of every year. Yamu on my rent no cry into ya.
Doctor, where they mean to one so, and you say empathy to ye nim possess say you tree. If you say now can ye can ye.
Every time be now pay BB pass document in the BB Balance Commission say, oh, won't you rent that near Bukan be breed the interest na din aka and so na a documents no and crata was sensan you. Signature shall say into me could be and can say minimum class say me rent. If you say was sensan intimacy say ye taught Nsase no my and crata na ye more modern na kenkai ni who the basic elements of what the transaction is about. It's about rights and interest. So know what rights you have been given, what interest that exists in the land that you have, so that you know how to utilize the full land to your advantage. And then try and complete the formalization process. Yenyan declare any other area as title registration district apart from Greater Accra and the Kumasi. Yeah, Kakrebi or Winneba area. I don't think that we pursued it further. In our way, Kakrebi so north as a pilot process. Apart from these areas, the rest of the country are under the old system, the deed registration system. It is all my in China and what the Beko Lands Commission or regional office. So now why now one register or honamo and no amount certificate. But registering in every year, you see the registration stamps on the document. They will take the duplicates and give you the original. Keep that original very well, and then make sure that we don't throw them away, and maintain your documents and protect them as much as you can. Don't be afraid to buy property. You will need it, but just make sure that you follow due process and you are wise. You don't rush into buying the property. But when you start from the scratch using professionals, you are likely to be successful in your property acquisition. I'm say midbesi na say question bi wo ho a na yahwe na yakawasem.
Doctor, that was a papa send a doctor can if you want to ask a question. I think Mami Canada has a question here about environmental hazards. Maybe we'll take that for next week. But Ghana, normally in our searches, we don't reveal these things. The Environmental Protection Agency is there, but normally when you are going to do, you want land for farming, mining, industrial purposes, environmental hazards or issues mostly come in. Residential areas, like I said some time ago, so government declare area residential area. It is deemed that now we're taking care of all these things. In Tinaka, baby, zone say residential, it does not necessarily have these issues. Baby, we have been taken out. Internet baby, I can say plots, demarcated. It hasn't got these issues. But when himself is all called industrial, commercial, farming, mining, and all those things there, then you need to take note of the environmental hazard that may be involved in such a transaction. And then the law even requires you to do that. Internet is so here, we answer maybe wait me a start projects or go into the land transaction. Doctor, I think we are gradually.
Yes, gradually. I got one issue here. I want to bring it out.
Please do.
Especially for those of us in the diaspora. Many of us have a lot of ideas as to different types of developments that we want to carry out on our land. And so you buy near one residential plot, near say DC hotel, near plot, near the other things. It's not a residential plot. Mr. say to have permit for your development, you must always find out the permitted use from the district assemblies. And no, any lands commission, and no, your district assemblies, they are the planning authorities we have in the country. So they will be able to tell you whether the land, what it has been zoned for, and whether your intended use, you put the land to or you can't. Indeed, don't let us overlook that aspect, that you will need to clear our land use also with the district assembly, and then also always seek to obtain building and planning permits and Sanawasha development. And that's it. Thank you.
Doctor, thank you so very much. I think our time is far spent and gone. And Doctor lastly mentioned going for your development permits. You know, we mention all these things, and we are all praying we get to the day and the time. It will be easy, or you know that there are timelines. So you know that when you're asking for permits, it will take 2 weeks. And you know that within 2 weeks, when you go, you will get it. We are praying for the time that you take your documents to the Lands Commission for land registration of plotting, and you'll be told that it will take one.
You are okay, and now we're talking about making sure you get your permit, and Mrs. Atajenfi was talking about timelines. Just to say in the Ghana Building Code, they have put a timeline in it for getting building permit. That when you submit your building plans to the assembly for permit, the assembly has 3 months to make a decision and correspond with you regarding your application. And if after the 3 months you don't hear from the assembly, you should deem that your application has been approved, and then you can go on and start your development. So these are some of the things that are now coming into the system to make sure that our agencies set up and are able to deliver the services that will not frustrate the citizens. I'm sure, under the new Land Act, they will try and come up with some of these timelines to make sure that the agencies also set up and offer the services that will make those who acquire land able to develop their land without any many problems. Mr. TJB is back online. Yes, sir.
One last question.
So, producer, please, I think you can give us about 5 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes. And then we
go
can...
ahead. Okay, it's all right.
Okay.
Okay. Na me wasase wakra mesi dan na asase no plot kese bi so da ho me pese me bisa se bia in future me pese Nsaase edakitu bi wo ha. Do I have to start over in terms of paperwork na is part of the old one that I have?
So my making that question and clear. Asase no say auto no now you can say 100 by 100 it is specified. Or survey has to make sure the boundaries of the land. And now what can say as a part of your land, and as a asase be a dawa obepese obekwa de ebeka ho asem
it's part of the land. It's part of the land.
Land now I registered down.
Land number registered ni bibia no. Aye.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
I know you're there, but say upese usi another dine was so. The new one now obey no. Wo original diner we see say any building plan no mo inti wanya and no permit say ode and no kona kwaji permit for that new one, but not the assassin document. There's nothing you need to do, but for the development you need to get permit.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I think it's quite clear now. I mean, who register assassin and it's a register assassin money the normal in ABA now if you say with the boys quarters into and no maybe home permit. And like doctor has explained, now home permit it does not include what you do not go for a permit for. Into any new thing out there, no nanka Ghana mra ye jumadia, any new structure and pesa or ye the canal. Wakoje permit no, you should go for a permit in terms of
Okay, thank you.
Okay. You doctor we dem say mejina etiefo any omo motion so anayemun adawasi bebre. Me maye adwuma wo lance mu ache bebre, but make I say through your discussions no means mesua ade wom na se na mpanyifo kan nyansa de eni ba akotri mu eda enti de bia yesua ade foforo enti me mesua ade wom enti me gidi se omo matie wo so esua ne ma bebre enso wo mu me se na confusion kra de fe de we bie so kese kra ma ahwe kra na eden ama ebinom kra esru na ye kan no se na ye kan no ubisem a obenya ho mwaye why catch and sister as much as possible you use professionals and say me program is my catch us say lawyer for na yeah will say oh sika semo mobile be can plot you say 50,000 lawyers so come another 10,000 about account to ma what the bomb the land office wa penifo obi wo ho a obetimi aboa wo endu bebi ese na bia lawyer be die no kra but ubenya ho ntiase bi entu de se bibi tree wadne so a feel confident that is why they are public officers ko na ko bisa enyi bia award adwumi bia no they are very very open, very cordial, very supportive omo nim say niam ni bebre no say na doctor ke ade efia say 1896 as Nsem ne fiase ne nyenem kwa enti pempenfo ni na atiase enti wasem ba and now the wasem control monima they will make time for you omo be boa wo and omo be chiro bibi obekwa obeden enti ase a wo hia na ebe ba enti munye confident na munye sa eniema no na yenya so enya enti ase se na ye chirechire muhim mo de be ye adwuma say na me de hia me ne pa ne se nkofo ba na ye tutu nsem ni bi de mamu say o abaye ntwe compensation na asase na banka so de be no kro ontimi mfa anye biom enti ebi so ampa utimi hu sampa first na nka buy so the best sports complex but utimi se nkofo sisi dan de akire mu wa ha say odi akire na akoto a one na wota ebesi from last week so the doctor bomode ebo so bebre because obeto ABS na meka Ghana mra na nye de bia na keka bebre obetimi esidan atena mu awo nananom kra ewo mu nanso wunya krata obetimi ya sha will mu ana ochine bi obetimi ya de ede jama uma enti asase no wo ho nso ne ho krata ede eni ho ye bomba ye shemo kokon so say mo ba pempri no there was a day first program obi bisa say now you're foreign and bisa say pempri no ye Ghana for so emremo no ye beka say dey ye foreigners e say wo ba passport na dey ewu e be okra na we dey we ja to baby cry if you say yes they say they American citizen and now a British citizen enti wo ba wonni document bi a be support say me Ghana enti e be nipa no timi ho sampa obi bia kire say we Ghana ni but e be a document say wo dey kire in the form of an ID passport and bibia ebe boa na wetimi document ebe ma a process of document no ontimi nje kra because they say no gradually the law is insisting and as a requirement now insisting say you must bring a valid ID into pana only valid ID if you want to service now entimi enye den anya ma because they say it's pushing say we should have a tax identification number woni bia ebi we beka tro say dey entimi mwa yentimi nye adwuma no ma yentimi nje document na nye adwuma wo so now government is also pushing that everybody should have the national identification card and saying she share mo yes say kran say it will be linked to the tax identification number into call out me national identification card kwa it's me mo abebia obetimi use obebia obeko it's mo ba down mo driving license mo passport mo renew the tax identification numbers na dey na mo bo modern na mo nyenye bi if say teten ya ye sign by ye chi nti mo bo modern yes na me ni bia mo sign ba mo chi a ya na makasa no enye bebre. You doctor, on that note I would want to say a big thank you for making time all this 3 weeks Saturday consecutively being with us to share your wealth of knowledge, the great explanations you have given to us, the sources of the issues and the problems we are having, and also encouraging us on the way forward. I just would say that Once a boss of an organization, you are always a boss. As we normally used to say to teachers, once a teacher, always a teacher. So to me, if there is any issue that comes up on land, I think there is no resource person I will quickly run to than to you, who was an executive secretary of the Lands Commission at a point in time, and even still in a very prominent position on issues that may relate to land. So we know that when we call upon you, you will be gracious enough to listen and come again to help us with the way forward on land issues. So we thank you very much on behalf of Vital Ghana Radio, our producer, and all those who have listened in and tuned in or watched the program on Zoom. We are saying a big, big thank you and God bless you. To that away, the Equipment for Becca say that was a baby.
Yes, anything be a chimagine person, and just link up and let's see my availability. I'm always willing. If we can all understand our systems and our processes and avoid the problems that confound the system, no, and also a easy system. So be at no be any exactly what to do. We will help to improve the system.
Yes. That's it, baby. And we'll be seeing you again sooner than maybe later. Thank
all
you.
Right.
You opening with the was opening for making time for us. All this 3 weeks a doctor was so, and the reception you've given us into there was a baby. Now what she says so you say Obama ho kwan about again with another program on land issues in Ghana. We are broadening it. We'll be discussing wills, preparation of letters of administration, how to get an architect on the program. So we'll keep discussing the issues that relate to land, and even all the issues that come up that relate to land, or spousal issues about property rights and all those things. To keep tuning in, and we all have a lot that we can learn on land issues. Until we see you again next week, it is bye from me, Lawyer Joyce Atajenfi. God bless.
Oh, thank you, Doc. What may you so Esia Enoma Bibri? Enoma Bibri or I crown. My name say Ukoto Asasibia. Say you have to pay taxes. Mean take big grass. My name is Bibi Grow. What is that? So really, Bekwa Correze. Basa Bibia. Arrears be or it really ever that was his pa na what you 18 following week, you know, when you're on the hunting, yes, here what Ebema Society and I had to suffer on no base we need no macacra. Actually, a better was a pa a tea for a better muninasi, more soon, or chances program. Last week, mommy tea, you know, our Emma Oba worry me, no Mama be tea.
Whether you say you log out in terms of pen, you become a crash there, and then you see was it agreed?
No.
It was. That's how I was saying. Was South African. Then they started before we know it will start spreading because they practice.
Sir, Genya Nkrofobi man be from London, and also from another radio station. Or joining. Now the whole thing, you know, say, well, and my man feel say there's always going to be a conflict between the two men, because men are married and a war by fanako. Na me so me da ha no china entiase bi enim enye bi e o ka so betumi atiase so and ahwan na say no e ma na ebe hwen ana so ye na ebe hwen ma no se ye ware mienu a se ne oba na eso otua e friend say alimony ne those things no e ma ye say me se me ware mienu a say so oba na hwen mi because me TV na wakoye juma na wabe feed me. It was so funny. Funny. But agreement will be just to me a law or be crummy. Say law to the
anyway, it's a comobone a better same remuno. Practices, nebe norms, nefe upgrading it to. The na Nyankopɔn hyehyɛ yɛn nyinaa bɛka sɛ nipa ɛbɔ ogu nkakra
Oh yeah, yeah,
ɛbi bi a saa na yɛbɛbɔ wei so egu menim sɛ doctor nom na adeɛ nte aseɛ nso sɛ na mmarima ne tumi ware mmienu ne mmiɛnsa ne ɛnan no ebia ne nso yɛbɛyɛ dɛ yi yɛbɛfi ase abɔ nyame deɛ no egu na yɛso yɛmia yɛni na yɛso yɛware
mmienu may stand on this. I have two issues. The first one, culturally, no, Bema ne kwasi oba pe, and oba ne kwasi Bema pe. Inti se shall say, Mammy Cassin, you say, Cassie, ye done na Emma kwasi Bema pa. Say never transna mana you because so kwasi pe no. I'm being the side here. Said you never wears out. Nama be worry.
Yes. Yes, sorry, no pen go ye juma bi o.
David. Now do dear mommy. Wow. Now do dear mommy. Now baby did not. Now do dear mommy.
How competent are the Ghana police? How competent are the Ghana police? Because yeah, they are very serious because just this week, girl be committed suicide. It's a movie, yeah, it was school beam. It was brown area. Now, so we hear the way now structure now no girl no dear money saw a through ultimately commit the money san share ne con. Before say we call a through the ahmano akko science through you need a chair. So just say who here kunya the way jinaso. Now the ahmano ko no tight no like a news send the news or whatever no and sana what media ahmano the aso con. But okay girl no size. The size now. Not time no the what a cost run. And yet possible. Say girl no committed suicide. Say uhe beams na a 2x4. 2x4 and a beams no. What the block back which is 25 pounds block beam no bebu. How much more unipa? Would the oka cohe video but a structure now 1 year baby again a committee suicide no. Would you would not believe this because again somebody killed the girl and then try to hang her. Yes.
Oh, Sunday, man, I don't see how the police is. If there be information on what preliminary, no. A lot of information come out from news sources. Na ye na label no. But normally, no, it will take an autopsy and all those investigations and some
to establish the cause of death.
We no crowd first, once Ghana, Obiwa, the whole town in be rush to that particular place. But Krumha, so Biwa, you don't even want to go near the body, no, because baby, I could take you crowd or shoes. A bit near Cocasabia, one hour call.
Oh, now, yeah, we can provide evidence.
Body no, Ubia and Kosum, because no one bit me fingerprints, our body no. My share crime, the Nami share, I did back when I'm a pepper, a crime, sir, and woman. It may share me try, say me share that at the end. Me share. Who say would you call here a worm said they will YouTube
next week no discuss it.
Yes a baby what do you think because would the young beam no the banana crash sense will be banana banana now would the whole thing with the other way she unipa girl with the 17 I only a crime fancy 85 pounds. And now be 100 and something. So structure ain't me who do get for more than like 5 minutes. A bebu. So It you ready, better Munasi, na se more bit me
Yeah,
join
no.
na the Munasi. Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Yes, bye.
Good night. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Vital GH Radio has a wealth of experience executing the full spectrum of public relations tactics: advertisement, radio broadcasting, interviews, voiceover, jingles, commercials, and many more. You can contact us on our US lines on 3022 575152 or on our Ghana lines on 0546 494-885, or you can visit us on our website on www.vitalghradio1.com.
If you want this, if you want that, it's all over Vital Radio. If you want that, and if you want this, it's all over Vital Radio. Vital Radio.